Good afternoon, everybody. We're here for the PhillyStat session on the Mayor's Goal 3, Philadelphia Becomes a Place of Choice. Before we begin, if we can go around and begin with introductions, I guess starting with the Mayor.
Michael Nutter.
After you need one.
Rob Duba, I'm the Finance Director.
Desiree Peterson-Bell, Director of Communications and Strategic Partnerships.
Anna Adams, I'm Chief of Staff to the Finance Director.
Marty Porter, I'm a Recovery Officer with oversight of the stimulus funds.
Dwayne Bum, Deputy Commerce Director.
Rebecca Lopez-Cruz, Policy Analyst, Department of Commerce.
Fran Burns, Licenses and Inspections Commissioner.
Curtis Gregory, Director, Office of Business Services.
Kevin Dow, Deputy Commerce Director.
Alan Greenberger, Deputy Mayor for Economic Development.
Andy Rockland, Deputy Chief of Staff for Economic Development.
Keith J. Richardson, Revenue Commissioner.
Indra Menino, Special Assistant to the Revenue Commissioner.
Elevate, CIO.
Sarah DeWolf, PhillyStat Analyst.
Catherine Lamb, Director of PhillyStat.
Rich Negrin, Managing Director and Deputy Mayor.
Before we begin the meeting, for those of you who are new to us, we just want to quickly go over the purpose of PhillyStat. So PhillyStat is the city's performance management program. It is where the space that we review both strategic and operational goals. Today is a very particular PhillyStat session, though. This is called a PhillyStat Outcomes Meeting, which Rich will explain a little bit more about.
Sure. PhillyStat Outcomes, unlike the PhillyStat Ops model, which deals with the departmental operational review, PhillyStat Outcomes is a way for us to do something that we haven't done in the past. That is, build broad collaboration across departments. This is many different departments across the table now around the mayor's key goals. I'm sure we're going to be hearing about Economic Development and Jobs Month, so it's very timely for us to have this session kicking off this month. So I look forward to hearing about that. But today we're here to really focus on the mayor's goal around Philadelphia being a place of choice to do business and to work, and really enhance economic opportunity in Philadelphia.
Rich and Catherine and all of you, thank you. It's good to be with you this afternoon. Just to kind of recap, what we've laid out over the past 3.5+ years are a number of strategic goals for the city government, but more importantly, for improving the quality of life for citizens in this great city. And they are as follows, and we've had now 2 previous PhillyStat sessions around these 2 issues. One, that Philadelphia becomes one of the safest cities in America. By coincidence, earlier today, we had a presentation of the police department's 5-year anti-crime plan or public safety plan as presented by Police Commissioner Ramsey and his team, and we laid out what we've done, but more importantly, where we're going over the next few years. Second, that the education and health of Philadelphians improves, and as we look to not only enhance educational opportunities, but also look at a variety of indicators related to health of our citizens. Today's PhillyStat session is that Philadelphia is a place of choice. That will have a number of elements and components, and primarily, of course, will be led by the Deputy Mayor for Economic Development, Alan Greenberger. Fourth is that Philadelphia becomes one of the greenest and most sustainable cities in America. That session will be coming up soon. And lastly, that Philadelphia government works efficiently and effectively with integrity and responsiveness. And I'll certainly look forward to that PhillyStat session as well. So I think with that, on everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me start out by talking about strengths and weaknesses. This first slide lists, I think, some of the key strengths that position us to be competitive. And when we talk about competitiveness, we're not simply talking about our position on the East Coast or in the United States. Cities, regions have to compete at an international level now. And I think that the very broad theme of this session needs to be, what do we have to do to make sure that we are competitive in this international system, as well as our more local system. So we listed a few things that are, I think, well known to all. Every single one of them, there's probably a qualifying statement to make. I'm only going to concentrate in this one on the assets we have. We'll talk about other issues as we go along. But a skilled workforce, there actually is a skilled workforce here, and a flourishing creative economy. The cost of doing business in Philadelphia. We know about issues related to tax competitiveness, construction costs and real estate, but on a broad basis, compared to other cities on the East Coast, we're actually quite good. Transportation infrastructure, I think this is probably one of the most developed transportation infrastructures in the United States. We as Philadelphians tend not to think of our assets in this way, but I think the infrastructure of the city is seen as is envied by most American cities. It's aging, it has issues, but it is there. In most American cities, it's simply not even there. You all know about the number of colleges and universities in the area, tremendous research capacity within this city, certainly among the best, if not the best, in the country. Entrepreneurial climate, getting better, not there yet. We're going to talk about that more in a few minutes. But if you've seen in the newspapers recently, a high number of growing firms in the city of Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia region, that I think are something we want to discuss in more detail. And then quality of life. Again, as Philadelphians, we sometimes don't dwell on these assets enough. This has become a very attractive place. And the measure for me is to talk to young people who either don't carry some of the baggage that some of us carry, as from having been here a long time, who come here and think, this is great. I like this. This is serving my needs as a growing person in a city with entrepreneurial interests and work interests. And of course, the relatively low cost of living, again, compared to other highly desirable cities, is an asset. Next slide. Won't read it. These are some testimonials from some of the people in our business community, both large businesses and smaller businesses, about what they have found here, and it's simply a reminder that such testimonials are out there. We saw a bunch of them in the videos yesterday, and I think these are further testaments to good things. Some of these are the subjects of further announcements this month. Pretty easy to put the liabilities into sort of three broad categories. This is still, we have a very high poverty rate in the city. It's the highest of any major American city, that is to say top 10 population American cities. And I think, I know that I'm preaching to the choir here, but I think you can't overestimate the sort of corrosive power of poverty, not just for the people that it affects, but for the city as a whole. It's a huge issue. City-county, often talked about, but the obligations that we have as both a city and a county put us at a kind of working disadvantage within the state in terms of the things that we have to fund and rely on our own immediate tax base to do.
And that also then increases the demands for some of the poverty services.
That's right.
We provide the county.
That's right, and it provides a lesser base in a way to pay for those services. And then education, Mayor, something that you've been talking a great deal about, the educational attainment level as a whole is not where it needs to be. So we just go from there. Self-explanatory. Now, when we talk about as a place of choice, Rich talked about this. What we mean is a place of choice to live in, to work in, to visit. They all have economic impact, and they're all interrelated. So that, for us, defined two major outcomes. This first one, Philadelphia is a more business-friendly city, is what we're going to concentrate on today. There's a second outcome that will be done later in the year. Is that right, Ken? Mm-hmm. Later in the year, about why people choose to live and stay in Philadelphia. It's more about why you're here, what are the assets that you see that make your life good. In the business-friendly sector, we have listed the agencies within the city that are most directly involved in making this a more business-friendly environment. They start with my office, but this is now highly integrated within the system that Mayor has set up, where all of these entities are coordinating, except for finance.
We coordinate too.
I'm going to give you your props in a minute. But these directly coordinate through my office, and these take the form of bi-monthly meetings for the group as a whole. It also takes the form of weekly meetings with groups like PIDC, with whom we have just a tremendous amount of transactional business. And then here comes Rob.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
We can talk.
I think, whatever the reason for it is, a very high level of conversations and coordinations across deputy mayors, across members of the core team. Actually, I think it works very well. I think that is very much related to the atmosphere, Mayor, that you've set up and the people you've put into place to do it. To come back to this point that I mentioned earlier about a vision of the city as a more entrepreneurial place that has improved processes to support that. I was having a conversation this morning, I can name names, with Jeremy Nowak about the character of the city and how we see ourselves and how others see us. And we often talk in Philadelphia about Philadelphia as a city of firsts. It's a first lot of things. But if we're only a city of firsts, we don't talk enough about city of bests or city of really great stuff that is going on right now. Probably not as short a sentence, so maybe it doesn't get said quite that way. But
Or innovations.
innovation. And that ties back to entrepreneurship at all levels. So entrepreneurs mean individuals who want to get started in businesses that want to grow and expand, businesses that want to come here. I mean, it runs right across the gamut. It ties directly to the kind of business climate that we have or should have, and the things we do to support it.
Ellen, so can I ask you just
Yes.
a question? You have on here the city's role within that. Do you want to expand on that? I mean, is that something that you want to touch on?
We're going to go to that as we go through the slides. I think it keeps coming back. It's a sort of underlying theme. Okay, so this is PhillyStat, so we want to talk about some measures, and I want you to note right away that because of the talk of secession from the state of Texas, Austin is listed here as a city in Canada.
They succeeded in seceding.
That needs to be fixed.
I'm not sure that's the way they would have gone.
Yeah, right. They wouldn't have been Austins, but no.
It's a long way to go to succeed. You'll fix that.
We will fix that before this gets posted up, right?
Yes,
Sarah? Good. Okay, so this is an index called FDI. This is a branch of the Financial Times. I think in your places there's a list of criteria, we're not going to go through them, that they use to assess what they mean by having sort of growth potential. And what they did is they rated 76 cities, both North and South America, which is kind of an unusual grouping that we don't often see. And so the big point in this is that Philadelphia, in these 76, Philadelphia ranked 12th. Not bad. Not good enough, but not bad. And I think it's an indication that there are real strengths here that mean something. However, if you go to the next page,